Hey everyone, it's Lexie. So in today's video I'll be sharing with you my favorite YA reads. So in general I tend to skew more to adult fiction, nonfiction, just because that's totally what I gravitate towards, but there are a few YA books. Most of these, actually all of these belong to series, but like YA books that I really love and hold a special place in my heart. So just because I technically read more adult fiction doesn't mean I still like YA. Like I read YA every now and then, and I feel like there's some really good shining gems in there. Obviously I'm not including Harry Potter because that's a given, but these are ones that I think are, although they're written for a younger audience, I feel like the general premise of these are very complex and dynamic, and I think that's what I really enjoy about these. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started. So starting out, I first have Catching Fire, and this is my favorite book within the Hunger Games trilogy. And the first book, I have like a love-hate relationship with this series. I prefer the movies more than the books. I didn't like the first movie as much, but basically everything from the second one onwards I really enjoyed. But for the books in particular, the first book was okay. I loved the second one, and then the third book was just okay. What I really love about this one was just how well thought out it was in terms of plot and everything. Like, I'm sure everyone's familiar with it, but just in terms of kind of the strategy behind the characters in here, just in terms of like the strategy in terms of what's going on in this world, I thought was really, really well done. And I was totally gripped with this one. I was like, I couldn't put this down. This is like my favorite of the whole trilogy, as I said, but I just thought it was really well executed in terms of being a kind of like a well thought out plot line that I think was really executed very well. It's also very complex and a little bit dark, and I think it also highlights kind of the complexities of society. And I think for a younger audience, the way this presented, like they can see the parallels between our society and the one that's in here, and that's what I really appreciate about this Hunger Games trilogy, because yeah, it's something that sounds crazy, but it's also something like, yeah, that could be possible like in our world. So especially this one is near and dear to my heart, so I have like total praise for this one, like 5 out of 5 stars. Really, really good. So next, this is one that I read in high school actually, and I really love this one. I remember like I was really obsessed with this. I kind of read this after I read Harry Potter, and I was like, oh my goodness, it's just like a female version of it, and it is so good. And it is the Gemma Doyle trilogy by Libba, Bray, and like I said, I was obsessed with this one. I really like how it's like kind of Victorian setting in boarding school. Like I really loved that, but I also like how complex this world was, and this is like really high, like at the time this was like very high fantasy for me, just kind of understanding that world. I'd never read anything like this before. The characters in here are very, again, very complex, dynamic, and I think they really stand out compared to other YA books. They don't fall into the very stereotypical kind of female protagonist that we see a lot in YA. And like I said, this one is kind of similar to Harry Potter too, in the sense that, well, I just saw one of my book pages was like that. It's similar to Harry Potter in the sense that you kind of, the maturity of the book increases with like each one, so I really like that as well. I thought this one was really well done. It's very unique, and it really gets the reader thinking. Like I was like totally engrossed in this world, and I think that's what really makes this book stand out for me, which is how complex and dynamic everything was about this and how rich this world was. So this is a series that I read basically from middle school until my first year of university, and it was the Gallagher Girls series by Ali Carter, and I love this series so much. I really, like, I remember reading this in middle school, and then I think the last book came out when I was in my first year of university, so I really grew up with the series. I didn't grow up with Harry Potter. I read them all once they were out. I was in grade 9, so like I didn't grow up with this series, and this is near and dear to my heart. I really love how it showcases girls who have intellect, and it like praises girls on that. Like girls who are smart aren't made fun of. They're valued in this world of spies and all that. So I really loved that as a kid. Like, I was very much into science and all math and science, as I'm an engineer now and a PhD student. So like, as you can see, like, I really related to that. But I loved how, especially what, like I was saying with the Gallagher girl, or the Gemma Doyle trilogy, like this one, you grow up with it. The stories get more mature, and I think that's what really was effective for me, because I was in middle school when I read this. I read it throughout high school and then university, so like I grew up with the characters. As the characters were getting more mature, so was I. So I really like that. Like, these ones are really interesting. I think me and my friend are gonna buddy read these soon. We were talking about this and it's really fun. So yeah. Next, I have the Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer. I remember seeing these books. I don't even remember when these were actually initially published. 2012. So like, I remember seeing this around. So I was in university when these were coming out, and like, I saw them and I was like, I read the synopsis and I'm like, I don't know how that will work. But I heard so many great things about this, so I picked it up and I was just like blown away by this. Where I think Marissa Meyer shines is her dialect, and I think she really gets like that. It's almost Gilmore Girls-esque in terms where it's very fast-paced and snippy, which I really enjoy. But I also like the retelling. It's a futuristic, but it also showcases female characters who have smarts. They're mechanics. They're, you know, kind of almost warrior-esque, which I really like. And I don't know, it's just, I really like how this focused on friendship. Like, this is just a fun, like, you just feel happy reading this, and I really like that as well. Like, even like, I recommended to this my friend who, we graduated our master's last year, so like, she's like an adult too, and I was like, you know, like, the premise sounds weird and it's YA, but like, you'll love it. And it's just a good book to kind of fall into, and it's just joyful. And I think, like, especially if you are like middle grade reading this, like, I think it really engages the reader and it makes them really think about the world as well. So yeah. And lastly, that, like, next to Harry Potter, this is like my favorite YA trilogy all time, and it is the Remnant Chronicles by Mary E. Pearson. And I feel like this is kind of more skewed towards the kind of older end of YA, just because it does get darker as the series progresses. But what I really like about this one is, again, the female characters in here. Leah, who is the main character, she is very, like, she's ahead of her time in like the presence of this. Like, she stands up for what she believes in. She's not afraid to speak her mind. She knows different languages. She is very calculating. She is very she's very intellectual, which I really like. Like, she doesn't view her smarts as something that is a burden to the people around her. Like, she knows who she is and she's not afraid to share it with the world, which I really like. Like, I really related a lot, and I'm very much inspired by her with all that. So yeah, she's definitely one of my favorite protagonists of all time. But I really like this, again, is that the series gets darker as you progress, and I really like how you almost figure out the world with the characters. Like, not everything is handed to you. Like, there's still, even now, there's still a lot of mysteries I don't know about this world. And there's a spin-off series which I love, which is more kind of older as well. But yeah, this book gets you thinking, which I really appreciate. And it's very, again, this world is very vibrant and rich, which is what really drew me in. That's it, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below what some of your favorite YA reads are and all of that fun stuff. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.